Okay, folks, this is the meeting, Marshfield Board of Public Works. Monday, March 22nd, 2021 at 6:01 p.m. We have number one, approval of open, these are action items. Approval of open meeting minutes for 2/16/21. Number two is the abatement bill number 4378 update. Number three is road acceptance policy. Number four is water system mapping. And we have discussions on Marshfield Hills sidewalk update, cemetery draft rules and regulations, water main design for Surf Ave, and the draft letter from the, well, it's from me, but from the Board of Public Works to the, whoever wants to listen to us, Board of Selectmen, State Attorney General, the Bar Association, anybody that's interested. Then we have the superintendent's report. Our next meeting is April 5th, 2021. And we need a roll call vote to adjourn.
John, can I ask you, I made a mistake with the agenda.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got them switched up. The water main design for Surf Ave should actually be item for action. And the discussion on the mapping should actually be under discussion.
Okay. All right, so I'll make a note and read those. The water main design for Surf Ave is now going to be under action items. We'd call that number 4. And what was the other one, Tom?
The other one is the water system mapping. That will be under discussion.
Okay. Water, the hell is that?
It's on the second page at the very top.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Yeah, okay, water system mapping is now being moved to discussion and taken out of action items for roll call vote. With those changes, do I have a second?
I second it.
All in favor, Tom, will you poll the board?
Okay, motion's been made to accept the agenda. Chairman Cusick,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Carrier.
Yes.
And Clerk Shaughnessy is not in attendance as of yet.
Okay, he'll show up. He's usually a little late sometime. Okay, so why don't we just go to the approval of open meeting minutes 2/16/21. So I've read them. They're very lengthy. Thanks, Emery.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I did read through all of it a number of times. I also got the book on the Enterprise Fund Manual. Just for everybody's knowledge, there's no percent on the information technology. It's under determine the cost for these items, and there's a whole list of items, internet cost. They have to come up with this: email, GIS, application management, storage, servers, security, network, hardware, backup, workstations. It's a whole list on this, nothing to do with the percentages. And I've seen this before. I've actually seen that list years back. They come up with that list. And at one time, if Bobby was here, he could come up with we were really overcharged on the IT for their infrastructure.
Yeah.
And we never did finalize that. So that's my comment on the IT person. I do know the school only has 4. They don't have 5 IT. I know the police have 1. I know John Nash as good as he is, he only takes care of about 100 computers, and a lot of that is remote. So we're probably in a quandary here with the financial team and these costs and how they're trying to stick us with a new IT person. But anyhow, that's my comments on those particular items. I don't think there's anything else. Dave, go ahead.
I had some questions, I just read them, but after double checking some of my own notes in my pocket calendars, my little notepads, what I didn't do is get something in from discussion. When we initially had a discussion with the town administrator, the IT supervisor, John Nash, also Patrick Del Russo, myself, and Dan. It was on the 28th of December, and the initial discussion was, would you consider, which we would. We did have brief conversations in that meeting where we talked about whether it would be somebody on contract or whether it could be hired part-time. As a matter of fact, I recall Mike Maresco saying, if we're going to hire somebody part-time, we want to make sure that we do it at the hourly level that doesn't require hiring, paying benefits, and retirement on it. We morphed from there into where we are today, and that is where we are today. And it just kind of puts me back to a comment I made, I think, at the last meeting, which is I believe we should be tracking the hours for the IT person that does come in. And if we find he is spending his majority of his time here, then I think it's time to go back to the Board of Selectmen and the town administrator and say he should be on our payroll, not somebody else's. I know Mr. Bresler does not want to yield that because he wants control. That's my only comment. Otherwise, I'm okay with the minutes.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Dave. Just going back a little bit. I did talk with Tom about this. On our meetings, without, everybody has a chance to speak, but doing that, you need to be recognized. Our board is pretty decent about letting everybody speak, the public. But our last meeting, it was just, it was kind of like Wild West there. We had the town administrator speaking without his name or address, and same thing with the town collector treasurer. So I've attended many of the conservation meetings, and it does go through the chair, but everybody has a chance to speak. But Tom could recognize anybody that he wants. Any board member could recognize. So we'll kind of keep it light, but more or less, if we have something to say, kind of hold it and, get recognized a little bit, and we'll move forward on that. If my other board member is okay with that, it's kind of just a general, simple, kind of pull it together a little bit. It's difficult for me in the Zoom meetings to try to, keep it orderly. We did well in room 3. Everybody got a chance to speak, and the residents would speak, but sometimes they'd speak only on one question, and then we'd move on to another resident, and then we could come back to that person. That hasn't happened here, but I'd like to see that work somewhat in the Zoom meetings. So go ahead. You have a comment?
That's fine by me.
Yep. Oh, okay. So it's not even a policy. It's just something that we'll try to control. If I mess up, Tom or Dave or anybody else can just step in and say, "Wait a minute, someone wants to speak." So with that, we'll just we'll move on with on the minutes. Dave, you want to make a motion that we accept these minutes as written?
That we accept the minutes of February 16th, 2021 as written.
I'll second that. Tom, will you poll the board?
Okay, motion's been made and seconded, barring any further discussion. Chairman Shaughnessy. I'm sorry, Chairman Cusick.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Carrier.
Yes.
Clerk Shaughnessy still isn't present. He said he'd be getting on shortly, so 2-0.
Like this.
Hold on, I'll send
I sent him the agenda. I sent.
you. Marie sent you the agenda, so you should be able to get in 805-163.
Oh, yeah, was he zooming? Right there, and then the pass. Bob having issues.
Who's having an issue?
Bob Shaughnessy.
Oh,
Hold a minute.
Pound. Yeah, there's a pound on the phone number is a pound.
Yeah.
Star pound, but if you hit that top Zoom meeting, the meeting ID and then the passcode. No, that's on the phone number. That's separate. Okay. All right.
It's a reading issue.
You got it right. You just can't get it in.
what are we gonna do, Tom? What?
He's gonna continue to try to get on, so let's continue.
Okay. All right, he'll eventually get on. He's done that before and used his phone. Number 2, abatement bill number 4378, update. I have the bill in front of me. It's really a whopper, too. Any suggestions, anything from you, Dave? Anything we could do for these people?
John, actually, if I could interrupt, yeah. So after our last meeting, I sent them out a letter that their request had been denied and that they had the opportunity coming from the board. We haven't heard from them yet.
Oh, okay, all right. I thought I kind of jumped the gun here. I thought this was them going to be at the meeting. Okay, so nothing we can do unless they appeal this.
Yeah.
All right, so we're waiting from the owners, and if we don't hear from them, nothing we can do. I don't know if we can do much anyhow. I think something we could do, but that'll be up to the board. Okay, you want to move on? Road acceptance policy.
All right, if I may, we put this back on the agenda after having it on the agenda, 2 meetings ago. There were some questions in regards to the policy and my conversation with town council. This is with a majority, and also with Mass DOT, Sean Sullivan, the district chapter 90 coordinator. This is pretty much across the board with all the communities using this type of a policy now.
Okay. All right, so we're going to have to.
I know that
go ahead.
Dave had a question in regards to whether or not Mass DOT would recognize this policy, and they would.
Okay. All right. It's a fairly lengthy policy, but we've gone over it. Are there any more comments from anybody, from the audience? Dave, Tom, Dan, Rod?
Yes, good. Rod has a comment.
Go ahead, Brian.
I just want to say that a lot of the burden here is placed on the attorneys to do a lot of work up front. So that, if I can interrupt, when you attorneys referring to the people that are requesting the acceptance of the road, as opposed to town council. Right. So in the case where we've got new roads for acceptance, not the ones that we were trying to catch up with back in 2000, where we had obtained authorization but didn't process them properly, so they technically aren't accepted roads, and we're going back one by one as we select them. Those roads will require town council or his title examiner to do a lot of front end work. And whereas but this policy puts the onus on the new development to, and their associations or the developer to do all the legal work up front and then hand it to us, in a completed fashion, and so town council can review it. I don't think that's a bad idea. I just though with the roads that we're trying to catch up on, those roads require town council, up front, and I don't know if we're going to be able to get that assistance in a timely fashion. I think so. That could be an issue with some of these roads that we're trying to catch up on.
Well, if I could comment on that, if I might, Mr. Cusick.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay. I was zoomed in on the Board of Selectmen's meeting when this road policy was being discussed, and they were talking about, well, it's great, and you were glad that DPW was doing it. So I believe that should give us the ability to prevail on the Board of Selectmen through the town administrator to make sure that town council does handle this, or have someone on the staff take care of it to get him to the point where he should be able to walk through it. Now, no, I take that as a implied commitment by the Board of Selectmen. We'll have to test it when the time comes.
Yeah, well, we have our roads that are on the list right now that require that, and I don't see anybody jumping on it.
I think once the policy is accepted, we need to, I think through you, Tom, send a letter to the effect that we can't move forward on these unless we have, the homeowners associations and developers take care of the legal aspects that are required by the policy once it's adopted.
Right, and we were waiting for the board to adopt this so that we could send the information out. We had talked about it.
Right.
So once the board is,
And town council wanted to meet with them. Did you want to meet with the board about the whole concept of selling roads? Town council.
he said that he would meet with the board prior to town meeting. So I was thinking at the next meeting, we would have him come on with his own and explain. So that will be April
Fifth,
5th to 6th.
fifth.
Yep, that's our next meeting. Okay, let's move forward and I'll make a motion that we accept the road acceptance policy as written.
Second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Motion,
Tom, call the board.
second, Chairman Cusick,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Carrier,
Aye.
and again, Clerk Shaughnessy is present, 2-0 in favor of accepting the policy.
Okay, thanks, Tom. All right, give me a second here. What do we got next?
The next one would be the Surf Avenue water main replacement.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah, okay.
Okay, this is, the project is proposed replacement of approximately 1,800 linear feet of existing 8-inch water main on Surf Ave with new 8-inch ductile iron water main, polyethylene encased with VBIO to prevent corrosion. Replacement of approximately 500 linear feet of existing 8-inch main on Plain Street, Route 139. Okay, that's Preacher's Path. That's a second project. So there's two projects listed on the project understanding. So I'm going to turn this over to Rod at this point.
I have one quick question. EBIO, what's the acronym for?
Did I say that? I'm not sure what.
It's right underneath
VBIO.
replacement of 1,800 linear feet. And
Encased
at the
with-
very end, encased with polyethylene with VBIO.
Where are you, Dave? What are you doing?
This is in the project understanding paragraph of the scope of services document from Environmental Partners.
Oh, for them.
Yes.
From them. Okay, I'm sorry.
Under project understanding.
What page? Oh, yeah, I see it. What are you changing, Dave?
I'm not changing anything. I'm asking a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, go ahead. I thought you were changing the VBIO.
BBIO.
It's encased in corrosion protection.
Well, it's polyethylene encased with BBIO, which implies something additional.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is, to tell you the truth. The polyethylene casing, basically, it's like a wrap, it's a thin, plastic that, we put in there, and basically the whole idea of that is to,
I understand what the polyethylene is for. I don't know what the BBIO
Yeah,
acronym is.
it might be some,
And, you know, to me, one of the problems you have with anytime you have a line pipe, or either a line pipe or a pipe that's coated, when you get a coating holiday, that's where the corrosion product can concentrate if there's a galvanic action.
right.
That's why I'm wondering what BBIO is, if it's like maybe some kind of passive cathodic protection or something similar.
Yeah, I'll have to check into that. I'm not sure what that is, but the plastic boot that goes around it, it's a loose fitting.
Right.
And the idea is that once the oxygen is depleted in there, then that should be the extent of the corrosion that will happen. So it's pretty service proven, and it requires us to do a good job when we do our connections and all that to be
Right, to seal it.
diligent and seal it as best we can.
Okay, and what I was to say is don't delay it because I just want to know what that is.
I'll find out. So, will I continue? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there are two projects. One, we've been on the office, we've been working on Plain Street. We've been out there numerous times trying to figure out what's going on out there. There's just some historical records that don't really jive what we have out in the field, and we're also have applied for a permit to access the state highway in the meantime, so we could speed that process up. After talking with Tom and the water supervisor, they want to push on replacing the main on Surf Ave. They have funding available. That's one of the next mains that they feel we should replace. We're getting deteriorated valves. The bolts are rotting out, and whatnot. And recently, this past summer, we had to insert a valve because we kind of lost control of that area. So we did put a valve in, and they were able to shut things down enough so we could repair another valve. So there's a number of cross streets, a number of valves, hardware in there that is starting to deteriorate, and it's AC pipe. It's a targeted replacement. Also, this will serve as a transmission line. Okay, and we need another transmission line to service that whole residential development there along Standish and Winslow Road. You have the main. You got a 12-inch running down the main road down, and it goes down towards Wrexham Beach area there. There's also a main that goes across the South River. Well, eventually we're going to do away with that, most likely, that crossing in the South River, because that could start to be a problem child for us. By increasing the size of this main, we can help the circulation in that area. So it's a proposal to replace this main because it needs to be replaced, but also to increase the size so that it acts as a transmission main. The proposal that was provided by EPG has been presented. They're going to combine both of those projects. They're going to put both out to bid. They're taking our notes, our conceptual design, and packaging it all together. They're going out to survey, and we've got to do borings out on Surf Ave too as well. So there's some subsurface exploration out there. We have some wetlands in the area. We've got to do some delineation. So there's some work that has to be done out there. Their price tag on both of these projects, bundling these, is $94,800, and it's broken down in their proposal as to where it's all going to be applied. The total job for the Surf Ave is somewhere around the high fours, maybe 500,000. We should have, it's gonna be close. We'll get a better handle on it once they get their design done and they give us a cost estimate, but, so I think, we want to move ahead with this, and, I provided a motion. If there's any other questions, I'll see if I can answer them.
I got some questions on funding and where we can find some of the monies. We have up on Spring Street, it's around $154,000 left over just for water mains. So we need an article to move that monies over to this project or over into our water main upgrades project. So that's something that I think it's a little late to do that for this special, the annual.
They might allow us to spend that though.
Yeah, because
Because it is a water main project, so.
Yeah, I know. Dan and I go over it every time he sends out a budget.
I think we have in the past occasionally had leftover money that was for the same purpose, like moving
Right.
one seawall section to another seawall section
Without town
Yeah.
meeting.
without town meeting, just
All
town
right.
council approval.
So that's some money we can, that's very helpful for the ratepayers. Also, I recall, maybe Dave recalls or someone else recalls, there was monies that were from a court case that was directed to the water division, and the court case was successful, but I think it was around 200,000, maybe much more, and the selectmen took the money. It never went into our budget, and I recall that happening. I don't know why it went to the selectmen, but I remember they took that award, and it was to different towns, but Marshfield was one of them. So I don't know if you were there, Dave, or it was prior to you with Jeb Deloach, but I do recall. I've been at these meetings for almost 18 years now.
I believe what you're talking about.
Go ahead. I didn't hear you.
I believe what you're talking about was the additive they used to use in the gasoline. And that was basically both divvied up between both water department division and general fund, simply because a portion of those contaminations occurred prior to at the formation of enterprise, and then subsequent to formation of enterprise. I believe I was the superintendent there. I forget what the additive was at the time, but it was.
Yeah. I recall. I don't think we got the money though, Dave. I think the selectmen took it all.
Yeah, I believe it was the MTBE, which is methyl tri something or other, ethylene.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Go right ahead. Name and address.
Joe Pasevich, Wilson Road.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, I remember the MTBE, methyl tert butyl ether. That's a gasoline additive. And but I think what you're thinking of is the asbestos pipe lawsuit. That goes back more than 20 years ago. We were supposed to get money to remove asbestos pipe. And I think I heard the engineer say AC pipe, so I'm assuming he's referring to asbestos concrete pipe.
Right.
So there was supposed to be money set aside to pull those pipes out, because there was asbestos pipe, and then they tried lining them, which only created another problem. That was the money that they got in a big lawsuit going. That goes back into the 90s. Thank you very much.
I do remember. I do remember this. I just don't know the amount. Is any way, Tom, you could do something with Rod and look for that monies? I'm not sure how we could.
It was before enterprise funds?
If it goes back into the early 90s, 91 was basically when the enterprises were voted in. So the bottom line would be the AC pipe by and large was installed prior to that, correct?
Right.
Okay, I do remember that we had the issues with the lined AC pipe and the leaching of the solvent they used for cleaning when I first moved into town. And I did some interactions with the water department at that time for the Newcomers Club. But the AC pipe would have been all installed prior to the enterprise division. The only thing I remember recently out of it is the change in the requirements for disposal. You used to be able to crush it and leave it in the ground and merely document where it was, but today you have to remove it.
Right, well, the water, I'm not too sure of. I know the sewer, they were making us remove.
I thought we were also required for water, but I could be wrong.
We were able to leave water in on some part of the street.
Okay.
If there's a way we can leave it in, I would leave it in.
Yeah.
It's very expensive.
But you do have to document where it is.
Right.
And it is transite, as long as it hasn't gone to a granular form, it's considered a solid and not an issue from an airborne contamination standpoint.
That's true, Dave. Okay, so we're gonna look at the Spring Street to try to move that monies over to this water main upgrades.
If it's needed, we'll look into that.
Okay, well, yeah,
A question. I'm sorry.
go right ahead. Welcome, Bobby.
I have, I'm having computer problems. Sorry if this is background. I'm not sure if this shows.
Bob?
Yeah,
He's
okay.
on the- He's on the moon.
I was having computer problems.
There you go.
I wouldn't want to, I would like the project to move forward. I mean, if the funding issues that is in ancient history, you know, what are we chasing here? You know, if the MBTBE issue was resolved 15 years ago. And if the asbestos price was done 30 years ago, are we chasing nickels?
You know, Bobby, we're just looking for money, you know, for you to come up with, you know, chasing the history and everything else. We're just looking for money. It's just comments under discussion. It's not
Well,
something, it's not something that, let me finish. It's not something that we're gonna vote on and have the,
The issue here is
hey, wait a minute. You weren't here for the new, shut his mic off. You weren't here for the rules. You want to talk, you ask the chair. All right? I tried to make rules that are pretty simple and easygoing. So you're not going to interrupt. No one's going to interrupt other speakers, and I'm not going to interrupt speakers. So when I finish speaking and you want to have something to say, fine. But I was just going back to see if any of the monies would be recoverable or something we could look into. I'm not planning on having the staff spend a tremendous amount of time with this. It was just under discussion. So, you know, it's you know, don't come out comments like we're chasing nickels. We're just trying to find monies in different ways to fund projects for the infrastructure, not necessarily these two projects. So with that, I'll recognize Robert Shaughnessy for any comments. Go right ahead.
I hope this is if I'm being heard or not. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. The issue is that are we going to fund a needed project that for a main that's been leaking and is deteriorating going across the South River? The issue is I don't want to hold that project up because I'll be looking for nickels somewhere else. That was my point about the nickels. The issue is if the court cases or that funds that should be misappropriation, I don't remember them of the 15 years that I've been on the board, other than the enterprise funds, John. So, I mean, where the hell did this come up?
Well, it's something that did happen, and there was monies awarded to the town, and from my memory, it was the selectmen were able to recoup it, and the water department didn't get any of the money. I'm not looking, I told you before, you know, this is under discussion. It's not like we're going to have the staff spend an enormous amount of time on this. It was just under discussion to find out if we could recover any money. It's not to the point where it's going to slow anything down. This is going to pass. It's a good motion. So, you know, comments like we're trying to slow something down or do something here. We're not. We're just trying to find a little bit of money, that's all. And we're not gonna spend any time. We found there's 154,000 up at Spring Street, you know, and it can't be added to this, but it can be used for water main upgrades in different other areas, that's all. You know,
If I might,
go right ahead.
Bob, you weren't aware of this because I don't think you had logged on yet.
Well-
But the water main design for Surf Avenue was initially listed under discussion by error, and it was meant to be under action. And it is now up under action, and our intent tonight, going into this, is to act on it. We are not going to be chasing other funding.
I'm okay with that. I just want to make sure that there has been problems down at Surf Avenue and we need to fix it. And I just don't want to put a monkey
Another
wrench
one.
into moving the project forward.
It's computer.
And you know everything about, you know,
All
I'd like to move the question, John.
You're all set, Bobby. That's good. Thanks for your comments. So we're gonna do an action. We're gonna have a vote on this. And there is a motion. I'll make the motion to award the contract. Are you ready?
Yes.
Motion to award contract 2021-13 Surf Ave in Plain Street Water Main Design to Environmental Partners Group, Inc. of Quincy, Mass. in the amount of $94,800. And the chairman or designee will sign the contract when the documents are prepared. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Tom, will you poll the board?
Motion's been made and seconded, barring any discussion. Chairman Cusick,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Carrier,
Yes.
Clerk Shaughnessy.
yes.
Unanimous, 3-0.
Okay, moving on. Where are we here now? Are we at the Marshfield? Are we at the water system mapping?
No, we'll take that up at the end of the discussions. The first thing would be the Marshfield Hills sidewalk update.
Yeah, okay, I see it, number one, yep.
Okay.
Takes me a while, but I catch on.
Now, we've got a final draft for the project up on Old Main Street for the realignment of the intersection and the sidewalk. We've had a discussion with the resident on the corner of Old Main and Pleasant Street about removal of a tree and extending the limits of the project on Pleasant Street to go a little bit beyond the driveway apron of the abutter to try to alleviate some flooding. By agreeing with us to remove the tree, we negotiated a driveway cut for the homeowner in order to get his boat into the side of the yard. It also gives us an opportunity to have a flatter sidewalk in that area where it would have been elevated with a need for a guardrail. So we've eliminated that design by removing the tree, and it will be a flatter approach to the sidewalk. And then also, there's been an upgrade to the Old Main and Prospect Street intersection where we bumped out the curb a little bit further on Old Main in order to line up the intersection better with Prospect and Old Main. So the line of sight is improved for people coming out of Old Main onto the Prospect Old Main Road. So it enables a better line of sight, a safer intersection, and adds a little bit more green space on the corner, and eliminates the need to take another tree down up there.
That's good, Tom. Tom, when is this going to happen? When
I was going to invite environmental partners in on the next meeting. Have them give you a quick presentation on the project, and then it will be prepared to go to bid at that point.
Okay, all right, I'm fine with that. That's a good report. I can see those individuals up there. Years ago, we had a meeting with them. I can see that they're pleased with the whole project.
I know there's been a lot of involvement with the residents up there.
Yeah.
I know Dave has been dealing with some of the residents up there too. So we've been taking a lot of input from the residents, and they'll hopefully at our next meeting, they'll all be able to join in to the Zoom meeting and get a better idea of what we're going to be putting out to bid.
Will you inform them? I mean, I know I can inform Brad White. He probably would inform everybody else, but I don't want.
Yeah, we have access to get the message out to them. I know Dave has been in contact with a few people up there, so that's we'll be able to take care of that for the next meeting.
Okay, and just looking back a little bit at that meeting, wasn't there a resident that was handicapped was a problem, and now we've
that was one of the issues. That was one of the issues with the sidewalks.
Yeah,
getting the ramps built in the intersection so that he can traverse.
I remember that. Yeah,
to the post office.
Yep.
And
Well, that's nice. That's good.
If I might, Mr. Cusick,
Go right ahead.
the tree that Tom has negotiated for removal on was actually one of the impediments that the young man faced. So that was a very good move.
Yeah, I do recall. I was at that meeting up at the North River Arts Building. Okay, that's just a discussion.
Yes.
Any comments, Bobby? You got any comments? Any comments from the audience? I'll take comments from Bobby first, then Dave or anybody else, and then the audience if they have any comments.
My only comment is that we should be doing more sidewalks, and this is a good start. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Not really, no.
I think
Sound
you
like
try
you're on the
again now
move.
that you got your speaker off.
Try to get.
Do we have- Come on. What a pain.
True.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. My comment is that I'm very glad that we're doing Marshfield Hill sidewalks. I'm saying that we should be doing more. And safe routes. How are we doing with that application for safe routes?
Right now, the application, there isn't any available safe routes money. There's right now there's the winter shared streets just closed. I'm researching now for any type of grant money that's available to try to work on sidewalks.
Are we putting some kind of application in so that we can be in the queue and because we're not able to be in the queue at the moment?
Complete streets.
Yeah.
We have one individual that's taken the first class. I've got one of the engineers has signed up for the first class, and then I am signing up the individual that has for the second class, and then we'll be working with our consultant to develop our policy, and we'll submit that once it's completely developed. And we get $50,000 from the state in order to develop that policy. And then once we file the policy and the application, we're eligible for $400,000 towards a project.
Yeah, those are good grants. Yeah.
So once we get that application in, then we can actually get a partner in with the state to pay for some of these.
Exactly.
Great. Thank you.
Audience have any comments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Go right
as
ahead.
Joe Pasevich Wilson Road, just as a citizen, I sidewalk projects on like places like Webster Street and Winslow and Standish are so far overdue. But I noticed the survey crew up on Winslow and Standish last year. Does anybody know what that was about? They said they were surveying for a sidewalk.
That's correct. They were out there doing some survey work, preliminary work on what would be required for a sidewalk in that area.
Did they, if I may, Mr. Chairman, is that a report that's done? Do they have some kind of draft report or outline ready to go?
Not as of yet, because we put it on hold because of the costs associated with building the sidewalks and the narrowness of the roadway.
And the need for takings.
And the need for takings. There's a lot of takings that would be needed. There's walls, there's an awful lot out there, Joe, to have to incorporate into a plan.
Yeah, I know. I just thought maybe there was some report that had been completed if that was a contractor.
Not yet. I put them on hold only because of what we anticipated of the costs and not having the funding to proceed with it.
Well, you have my permission to pay them for what they've done so far, Tom.
No problem.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome, son.
I like your chambers.
Yeah, sure. So doesn't the tax roll. Okay, we're all set on that. Thank you, Tom. We're going to move on to cemetery draft rules and regulations.
I submitted these draft rules. I know this is something that the board in the past was very interested. We did have a cemetery committee that's been disbanded. We haven't met in quite a while, but one of the tasks was to draft some new cemetery rules and regulations. It's something that I've worked on since I've been back. I've submitted it to town council for his review and have not heard back from him as of yet. So I just wanted to make sure that if there was anything, if anyone's had an opportunity to review these draft rules and regs and have any comments, if we don't have any tonight and you want to put them in writing and forward it to me, and I'll add to the draft.
That's a good suggestion. That's a good suggestion, Tom. How about, has Mark McDonald had any input?
None at all.
Really?
Nope, and there's no reason for him to have any input because he's not a member of the committee.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I can, I recall a couple of meetings that, we were.
Yeah, I think it's a conflict of interest, to be honest with you, John, that the only funeral director in town has input on rules and regulations for our cemetery. So I would think that it's a conflict of interest.
Yeah, no, I'm not suggesting that he'd do anything. I was just curious if, in fact, he had done anything. So he hasn't done anything, that's fine. Okay, let's just move on.
I have a question on the cemetery rate.
Go ahead.
Tom.
Go ahead, Bob.
My question on the rates is that are we going to include in the cost of the plot the vault?
Yes.
When there is a vault.
There's 100 vaults that have been placed in that section of the cemetery, and those graves will include the cost of the vault and what we spent on installing.
So the $1,200 includes the vault?
It does not.
Does not. Okay. So we need to be clear. So I'll put them in writing of what we need to explain what the rates are and what's included in that.
You're talking about columbariums?
And no, the grave sites that have the vaults already set. We're trying to come up with the exact price to charge for those vaults, along with what it cost us to put them in the ground.
Right. Right, but on the rates, it just says $1,200 residents only.
Right.
All right, I'm going to
There needs
give
to
you
be an
comments in
asterisk
writing.
next to that, Bob.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you comments. I'll mark it up.
Okay, great.
Okay, any other comments?
I
Go.
want to, do a more thorough review than I've had the opportunity to do with this transmittal. And Tom did provide this back a while ago, but I have to say that my memory banks doesn't recall what I thought about it at the time, other than I was generally in favor.
Okay,
Some of the language that's been inserted in this gives us some liability protection. And that was something that was a major concern with the old rules and regulations, was did it cover us liability wise?
all right,
Correct.
so is there any more comments? You got another comment, Bobby?
No, I'm gonna put my comments in writing and then I'll give them to Tommy.
Okay, that's fine, yeah. Any of the residents have any comment in the audience? Okay, seeing none, Dave, you're all set. Tom, you're all set? So we're just gonna move on to the draft letter from,
We're going to do system mapping first.
System mapping under discussion.
oh yeah, I saw it. Sorry, Tom,
What
my bad.
we're looking to do is a pilot program. So we're working with the consultant now to come up with a proposal. We thought that it's been suggested that maybe some type of a pilot program to determine, the mapping of the water mains, the gate valves, the hydrants, the hydrant gate valves, and the service boxes. So I know back in 2013, 14 timeframe, we had a consultant in doing the outfalls of the sewer and mapping of the sewer system. And they were able to do a little bit of this water mapping back then when they were doing the wastewater, but it was only within the area of the wastewater uses. So the rest of the town needs to be done. And we figured that by doing a small pilot, you get a pretty good idea of what's the cost and what's going to be required. And so we move forward once we did the pilot.
Okay. Any comments from the board members? Bobby?
No comment.
Okay. Dave, go ahead.
I have none.
Okay. From the audience, any comments? Joe? No. Okay. All right. We're going to move on to the final item, I believe, would be the draft letter that I wrote. And it really is a draft. The overall problem we have is that this is a Mass General law that, and I've said this dozens of times. The enterprise funds may only be used for enterprise-related expenses. So we have the snow plowing and sanding that apparently is not going to be reimbursed. So it leaves us options because we have a fiduciary duty to correct this misuse of funds, as I wrote. So we could contact town council if he doesn't want to enforce a Mass General law that's being violated. Then as a town council and a court officer, he has a duty to do that. We have to take some action in order to put the monies that are owed to us. We have $256,000 documented that's owed to us. We also have a huge overcharge in the IT. Bobby, you could weigh in on this, that they charged us for the total cost of the infrastructure. Do you remember that? Can you comment on that? Do you remember that problem with how they did it?
No, I don't remember what you're talking about, John.
The overcharge for the hardware in the IT department, where
I can't speak for just off the top of my head.
okay.
I'd have to to come up with dollars.
Anybody else? Anybody else remember that? No. Well, I know they did overcharge us in the IT department for the infrastructure. I think they charged us every year instead of the cost to pay it off. They charge us the full cost of the equipment year in and year out. So we're going to have to look into that.
John, I not to cut you off, but to expound on what you're talking about. There were problems with a lot of the items in that we were developing the methodology. One of them was the IT. I don't exactly remember what the dollars were, but they were between the pensions, between IT, between the different departments. I don't disagree what you're saying. What I'm saying off the top of my head.
Okay. You're breaking up somewhat, Bobby. It's difficult to put the full sentence together because it just moves in and out. But I understand what you're saying. You do recall. I'm just trying to get a handle on some of the monies that are owed to us. That we've got to put a stop to this complete, almost a highway robbery of our enterprise fund money, and we all have a fiduciary responsibility to protect these funds. So if anybody wants to, I can dress up this letter with no problem. I just left it so that, the other board members, staff, or anybody else can weigh in on it, and we'll come up with a letter and send it to anybody that's interested, including, if we have to, the Bar Association, if the town council doesn't want to enforce a violation of a mass general law. We can go to the Inspector General, the Attorney General. DLS is probably useless to try to get to them. So that's my comments. I know I do this every year, and it just seems to like water under a bridge, but we've got to do something. So if anybody has any input in on this letter and who to send it to, or what's the next move? I know Tom is, as I spoke with him today, he's not, for the money spent during the day for the plowing and the sanding, the regular hours. The ratepayers don't pay for that. That's a disgrace to have the financial team think they can get away with that. So we got to work on that, and we got to work on the monies that owed to us that we've documented in on the healthcare. I actually have that full spreadsheet all done. It's actually online. If anybody ever wants to see it, I'll send you the link. And it documents everything. So with that, any comments from the board members, Mr. Carrier?
Yes, I do have. Like a chance, John, to go through this letter in a little more detail, and I have a few areas where I believe the tone of the language has to be adjusted without changing the meaning.
It's really a draft.
I understand, and that's why I said I want to make some comments. Do we have this electronically, Anne Marie? Like in a Word format?
I think so. Did you send it? Yes, I did send it to you when he
In
sent
Word
it
format?
to me.
I have it
not
here.
in Word. I don't think
send
it's a
it to me
word.
and I'll
Yeah, send it in Word format so it can be disseminated to us. And then
convert
the
it.
comments can come back from Tom
Okay.
to John.
I gotta make a comment. Anne Marie, you might not be able to do that. That is a PDF, but it's not really. I'll have to send you the Word document.
But Tom can convert the PDF.
Okay, all right, do it. All right, fine. That's fine.
I'll give it a shot, and if I can't, John, I'll reach out to you.
All right, thank you. Okay. Go ahead, Dave.
I'm
Is
all
that-
set with my comments.
All right, Bobby, you got comments?
The letter needs work.
What?
I guess I'm broken up, but I said the letter needs work.
Oh, of course, it's a draft. I mean, that's how
I would
it's-
not, I would not be in favor of sending it the way it's written. It needs work.
Oh, for Christ's sake, look, it's a draft. We're not sending it the way it's written. Jesus Christ. You know, you're starting to be, really pushing the envelope here. It's a draft. If you have any comments or any input, put it in writing, send it to Tom, then we can have it sent out to the board. Okay, let's just move on. Superintendent's report.
In my opening, for my superintendent's report, Attorney Steve Gard is here. He represents VRT. And I asked him if he'd be interested in giving us an update on the Rockwood Road easements that are on the agenda warrant article at the annual.
Go right ahead, Mr. Gard.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. So Tom and I have been working on this for quite a while, actually, and we finally brought it to a fruition in a form that I think we could, it would be easy to understand for folks that aren't as schooled in these matters as you folks are. So right now we have a warrant article. Tom has a placeholder for it to establish a drainage system across the ball field and to take water from the ball field into an open area along the property line of the ball field in the Enterprise Park between that land and VRT's land. The easements that we've identified will also provide a pedestrian access from Rockwood Road to connect to the ball fields for that walking path as well over VRT land. So what we have is 2 pages. One page shows it's 2 pages of plans. One page shows in 2 different colors the benefit parcels. The red indicates the town benefited easements, and then the green indicates the VRT benefited easements. So all of the water will eventually wind up at what we call lot 27, the drainage lot, down gradient from the ball field. I've also done a color-coded reference table where each easement is identified in a little bit of legalese, but then there is a colloquial description of the easement at the end of that blurb. But each one is color-coded to match the individual easements in the plan across across the various parcels as identified by the assessor's office. So that's where we're at. What we're trying to do is use trying to help the ball field drainage issues, as well as VRT is going to benefit from a pipe that will go under the ball field that will allow us to drain water from a lot that VRT has now that is already a basin, which we will be able to reclaim that and then basically transferring the water to this other spot on Commerce Way at lot 27. And that will give, again, VRT is donating the easement for the walk path, donating the easement for the land for the dog park. All of these things are sort of tied together. And forgive me, I'm a lawyer, but I'm not necessarily an engineer. But it seems like a pretty good system for both the town and VRT. Benefits on both sides.
Well, okay. Thank you, Mr. Gard. Do we have comments from the board, Mr. Carrier?
You've reviewed this and you guys are satisfied. Has this particular plan and program also gotten through as far as like conservation goes for any water quality concerns they have?
We have not brought them before conservation. We've had Steve Gard and Bob Galvin have had a conversation in regards to this, and what I had informed Mr. Gard to do was to reach out to Bob, because Bob had some concerns about the way that it was put together. And after their conversation, Bob had recommended a couple changes. The color coding was one of them that Steve had put together to make it a little bit more understanding for the layperson. So I think right now we seem to be all on the same page with this, and I will get more info from town council.
Well, I know we haven't, adjacent to these properties out here in this immediate area, there's an intermittent stream, which I guess is considered as a fish hatchery during certain seasons of the year.
Right.
This does not in any way impact that? No.
No.
Okay, thank you. That's my only question and comment.
Okay, any comments from Bobby? Go ahead.
Are we draining our wetlands in order to make it productive and moving it somewhere else?
No.
No.
So I have no comments. I just don't know enough about it, but it sounds like a good idea.
I'll get you the plans over so you can review them.
All right, thank you.
I mean, we're just diverting water from a previously constructed stilling basin down to a different one. It was all an upland area, as I recall, up here on the hill.
Right.
Okay.
No, if it's a win-win for the town, I'm okay with it.
Okay. I'm okay with it too. Thank you, Mr. Gard. Any comments from the audience? Okay,
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
go right ahead.
I'm just curious about this from the hydrology point of view. Is this going into a retention basin? And will that become like a pocket wetland, or what's the ultimate destiny of the water?
It goes into a detention area.
It goes into a detention basin.
Oh, I see.
And then
Existing. Yeah.
The existing one.
Yeah, there's an existing detention basin on that bend in Commerce Way. It's shown on the plan as lot 27M, and but it has much more capacity than it's being utilized at this time. So, yeah, there will be almost most of the water will end up there.
Is that the biggest one in the state that I've heard it referred to as?
The lots will become more or less a 4-bag.
Dave, let Joe finish, will you?
No, I'll look for the plans. I do recall there was a huge basin up there. Some people thought it was one of the bigger ones in the state. And so thank you for just satisfying my curiosity.
Okay.
I'm all set. Thank you.
Any more, Mr. Gard? Are you all set? Very good presentation.
No, thank you very much for the VRT. The only other thing, Tom, was, as you know, I also represent Frozen 4, and I'm in the process of developing the site plan for the signalized intersection at Cross Street and Plain Street. And I think it's really important that the Department of Public Works Commission support the plan. So we've submitted the concept plans to you folks that haven't been fully vetted out engineering wise, but at least it gives everyone an idea of what roads are going to connect to the south side of the School Street intersection and whatnot. And I was hoping that you could take a moment at some point and review those plans and get back any feedback that you may have to me and Merrill Engineering, who is the on-site engineer for us, as we begin to file the application for site plan approval for those. It'd be the driveway, it'd be a new driveway for the DPW barn, and connecting the Martin property to that as well. And it's a really great plan. It's gonna really be something else when it's finally done, to connect all those properties and get, how difficult it is to get out of those properties onto Plain Street with that bend as it goes up around Lone Street. So.
Thank you, Mr. Gard. And there's no walking path to the new marijuana plant?
No, there is no walking path. Correct. I don't think Chief Tavares would be too happy about that, John.
just put a little levity into it. Okay, back to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. I'm going to jump off. I've got 2 other meetings I've got to do.
Go right ahead. Thank you, Mr.
Thanks,
Gard.
folks.
Thank you.
All right.
Let's get back to my, Army Corps has a time restriction, currently until 6:30 on the tide gates there at the,
Excuse me, I gotta put a light on. Getting in the dark here.
and the consultant thinks that he's petitioning the Army Corps, hoping that we can maybe move this up a month or so. He doesn't think it will have any impact on the fisheries down there. The FEMA flood warning message boards are out. There's one out on the Pembroke, at the end of the driveway here. We need to put one on the Pembroke Marshfield line. And then another week, next week, they'll be down on the Duxbury Marshfield line. So this is every March, they have to be out notifying the residents of the FEMA warnings of flooding, make sure that you have your supplies, know your evacuation routes. It's just reminding people that if there is flooding, be prepared. It's part of that CRS, I believe, so that's it's one of the steps that we have to follow. Telegraph Hill water tank, the exterior has been completed. They're moving to Forest Street to do the interior in there. And then once they finish that, the possibility of this week, they could move to sandblasting the outside of the tanks and prepping them for painting. The Damon's Point project will begin on Thursday. And finally, the submittals for the 965 DPW facility, the site plan review cover letter, the site plan review full application, the site plan review full drawing plan, the site plan review for the public hearing request, and the site plan review for the traffic assessment. Have all been submitted this past week by the consultant, and we're looking at favorable action on this and expediting this moving forward. We're ready, we're standing by, ready to start moving some of this soil as soon as we get the okay.
Okay. Thanks, Tom. Just as a note of the anything at the transfer station for the oil paint and the swap shop. What?
Yes, John. I did have a conversation with Diane today. Her plan is towards around Memorial Day. I've called around to some of the other towns. They're all looking at the same time frame right now. And I haven't heard back from the Board of Health. Okay, and that was for the swap shop, oil and paint? All three? Correct, okay. Yes. All right, now that's the best we can do then. I know I get a lot of calls on when the transfer station is gonna, open for the swap shop and the oil and paint. All right, that's good. Thanks, Tom. You're welcome. Any comments from Dave?
No.
Bobby, any comment? Hearing none.
Glad that the pandemic, we're going to go back to normal. Hopefully, we'll be back by Memorial Day and the summer will be normal. I'll be able to have to go back. I'm not sure if you're hearing me. Yeah, we can make out what you're saying. Yep. Okay. All right, that's good.
We'll look forward to those regular meetings again, believe me.
Yeah, me too.
I will too.
Any comments from the audience?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I may, again, Joe Pasevich, Wilson Road, that site plan review, is that connected in any way with the zoning board hearing tomorrow?
Yes. Oh, I don't know if it's on that.
It's not tomorrow's zoning board, it's later in the month.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure what it was, either tomorrow or maybe next week. There was a zoning board hearing on a over 10,000 square foot addition to the 965 Plain Street.
Yeah, that would be it. That's next week's ZBA, I believe.
Okay. So that's, I just don't know what it's about. I saw it on the notices and I was personally just a little surprised. I hadn't heard anything else about it.
Well, it's the process that they're taking in to get moving on this to start the construction.
Do we have any drawings of that or any plans that, you know?
I have the whole packet that was submitted.
Yeah, I'm talking about the board to look at it. I'm all for it, Tom. I just haven't seen it.
If I might, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Okay, I obtained a copy of that. As you know, I'm the board's representative following the project.
Yep.
And I have examined everything that was submitted. Everything looks to be in proper form. I think it's because of the height of the buildings and stuff like that, that's a piece of why it has to go before ZBA. Since the height of the new buildings will be essentially the height of the building we're sitting in right now, it should be a pro forma type of approval. The adjacent buildings, some of them approach the same height. So it shouldn't be an issue. There's no wetland issues and other right now that are involved with it. So it should be okay.
Do we have a cost?
A cost in what form?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
A cost in what form?
Well, we're adding a large addition. Do we have a general idea what it might cost?
Yes.
We have
approximately $11 million.
$11 million.
And where's that money coming?
All of its accoutrements and furnishings, as well as all of the substructure that has to go in drainage, water, gas, electric.
Yeah. Where's the funding coming from?
From the town.
That was voted at town meeting. When we
Yeah,
authorized
I know
35 parts.
I'm familiar with that vote. It's coming out of that monies that were voted at town meeting.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And the enterprise funds have a what?
$5 million.
$5 million of that balance of 11.
How much?
5.
$5 million.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we do need the addition.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm glad to hear that you're getting that addition. That sounds great. But I just hadn't heard about the plans being drawn up. I didn't know you had the plans all drawn up and ready to go. I don't know how much was spent on the plans. So that's why when I saw the ZBA notice, I was a little bit surprised, but I'm glad to hear you're getting it done. Thank you.
Yeah. Maybe in the future, Dave, you'd put us in the loop here a little bit, you know, for something of that large amount of spending.
Well, I mean, this is pre-authorized funds. It's part of the project, John.
Yeah. I have no problem with it.
There's no further vote by the boards. And we have had the information and discussed it at previous meetings too.
Yeah. Well, I don't recall discussing that particular. I know we're going to have an addition.
Okay.
That's about all I knew. So maybe, you know, in the future would, you know, bring us up to speed. That's all I'm trying to say.
I shall.
Okay, that's good. I appreciate it. Any comment, Bobby?
No comment. If you can hear me, I have no comments. I think Dave is doing a good job of representing.
Yeah, I do too. Okay, thanks, Bob.
For doing that.
Yeah. No comments from the audience. Seeing none. I'll make just one comment that, you know, it'd be difficult for Anne Marie to come up with the exact minutes because it's so broken up at times with Bobby. Not his fault. It's just the fault of the way the internet is working for him tonight. So I did see that, Bob, you did arrive at 6:22. So I think Anne Marie made a note of that. So you do the best you can, Anne Marie, with that. And I know it'll be difficult.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
So moving on, the next meeting is April 5th, 2021. And I'll make a motion, unless there's any other business unanticipated, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Do I have a second?
We do, second.
Motion has been made and second, barring any discussion. Chairman Cusick,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Carrier,
Yes.
and Clerk Shaughnessy.
Yes, thank you very much.
Unanimous.
Thanks,
I
everybody.
apologize. for the bad
Meeting.
No problem.
Yeah, it's the internet, Bobby. It's not your fault. Okay. All right, folks.
Goodbye.
Thank you.